All right, the regular meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. The regular council agenda for June 2nd, 2025 was accepted as presented. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Saab, all in favor? Motion carries. Right out of the gate, we've got a delegation this evening. It's the Nanton Native Learning Center. We've got the one and only Elaine Mahan and Al Fernand joining us to talk about their new initiative here in Nanton. And just of note, we do have Councillor Dozman joining us online as well this evening. Everything's working on your end, Councillor Dozman?
So far, so good.
Can you just say that again?
So far, so good.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, yeah, if you just leave the button on and then I'll open the floor up to you guys to tell us what you've got going on.
All right, well, thank you very much. So Councillor and the mayor already introduced me and we're glad to have Al with us as well. So at this time, I'd like to give a land acknowledgement, and I don't know where you are in land acknowledgements, but from what I know, what I've been told, the most important thing is that we talk from our heart and not just a memorized list of words. So I'm going to do the one that I like to give. The Native Learning Circle is working on one that we maybe would like to bring at some time to see if the council would like to accept that one. But right now, I'm just going to give the land acknowledgement that I like to do. We'd like to acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy and Métis Nation Number 3, and all the people who make their homes Treaty 7 territory of Southern Alberta. We offer our deepest gratitude and for the stewardship of the Native people, and we remember that we are all caretakers of the earth. Truth and reconciliation is not just about heads and hearts feeling bad on one day, but it's hands and feet doing tangible good every day. So at our gatherings, we usually do a smudge, and Al's usually able to do that for us, but we thought we wouldn't do a smudge today. We just wanted to give you some background. So in about 2023, Gloria at the library had a display of Indigenous books and items. So at that time, we started thinking about maybe there were other people that were interested in learning more about Indigenous culture. So our first activity, we were able to find a speaker from the Blackfoot group, and they came and did a presentation at the library. And we found out quite quickly there were other people that were interested in learning more about Indigenous culture. So in September of 24, Lynn from Quality of Life organized a blanket exercise, and that's when we met Al and his wife, who were living right here and still live right here in Nanton, and we're grateful that they're helping us along our journey. And so we've began to put things in place and start a journey, I guess I should say, about Indigenous culture. We were thrilled when the council reached out to us about the Blackfoot sign and asked for our input on what name we thought might be best. And so we were very happy to give our feedback on that one. And we invited the mayor to come to our first activity, which was the Moosehide campaign, or on Moosehide Campaign Day. And she suggested that maybe we would like to come to this group to make a presentation about what kinds of things we were doing. So I think we have the video ready about the Moosehide campaign, and I just thought I'd like to show that because it's not just in Nanton, it's across the whole country that people are thinking about not only Indigenous culture, but all of us. So I think Sarah Lynn has this one ready that we can just watch. It's 6 minutes, but I think there's value here. I hope.
scene talking about that reality that Indigenous women and non-Indigenous women live, that there is a place where so many women have been murdered or gone missing, that they refer to that place as the Highway of Tears.
We're talking about the need to do something right away, something now. And our family was really trying to figure out something that we could do to help end some of that violence that's happening towards women and children, to help bring some love and light back to that highway.
We were blessed with the moose that morning. I was witnessing my daughter Raven at the tender age of 16 in her fierceness harvesting that moose.
We had this moment of inspiration, and it was such a beautiful moment to be able to share with my dad on our beautiful carrier territory, to bring that moose hide home and cut it up to a bunch of little squares and ask people to wear that as their commitment, as their reminder of who they want to be in this world.
Wear this thing, you promise. If you wear it, you promise not to do violence to the women and children in your life.
What we've seen since Riverside Campaign was founded in 2011 is that as soon as folks hear about our mission and our vision, they feel compelled to join. So we started with 20 people at first Riverside Campaign Day. It grew by 2 times every time since then.
The campaign has started off very humbly. All very excited about sitting around the table and cutting up the first Riverside pin, writing out on index cards, handwritten, and handing them up to the friends. The campaign has been a slow burn, and now it's going much quicker now. Last year we gave out our 3 million Riverside pin. We'll be giving out our 4th million, so we're now at close to $1 million a year we're giving out.
For each pin represents at least 5 conversations about the need to end violence against women and children. There are millions of conversations happening across this nation.
The Riverside Campaign, it was easy to say that I'm aligned with my virtues and values, not only as an Indigenous man and community, but also as a human being, around not only how we look after our families, but how we provide love and passion so that our families, grow up safe, comfortable, and acknowledged for who they are and the gifts that they carry.
What I've learned is that this movement has grown and been able to reach so many people in such a short amount of time. But creating cultural shifts in this country takes many years, takes the work across generations. It won't just be us, it won't just be my dad and my sister, but the next generation of our family and beyond.
It does take intergenerational thinking and that long-term effort to bring forward a different future than the past that we've had.
When we meet students in post-secondary institutions across Canada, there's such a huge appetite to become involved in solving this ailment in our society. There's so much centralized violence and gender-based violence. It's very evident on post-secondary campuses in Canada. Students want to be able to contribute to the solution. When we ask many boys to become involved, we want them to feel like we're calling them in rather than calling them out.
There has to be healthy, loving masculinity. That's the antidote. So we call people into that space, saying you don't have to show up as a healthy person. You just have to show up. Say, I'm willing to take a couple of steps. Couple. And so we invite people into that journey in whatever way makes sense to them from whatever culture.
What I would say to young men, perhaps it's not so much in what I would say, but rather how I would listen and invite them into a space that is safe and comfortable for those conversations to have. Be yourself, and if you can, just showing up, listening. My first year, second year, or never push anything.
About 1 million together, take a collective intention to end violence towards women and children. for something that is really important.
So that was the first thing we did this year was we took part in the Moosehide campaign, and we had Nanton on the map of Canada. So there's a little spot that said there something was happening. Lynn from Quality of Life ordered us the Moosehide pins, and neither Al and I are wearing ours tonight, but we both have them and wear them regularly. Our next activity is going to be on June 20th, and we're grateful to have Al there. Al has a teepee, and you know, you never quite know the impact of your group, but one of the members from Bomber Command Society directors reached out and said, I hear you guys are doing something about Native learning kids. There any way we could talk? So this year, for the first time ever, they're recognizing the Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit Air Force members at our command center. It's been going to be the first one in Canada, and it's been a journey to get it all together, but it's going to happen. And Al gets to go up in the bomber, right, Al?
Yes, that's right. I'd just like to thank the council for listening to us today. It's an honor for me to be here. I'd just like to say that I'm an Indigenous elder. I've got many teachings that I've brought with me from my upbringing, from my mother and father, and all the life journeys that I've had. And this is why when they started talking to me about the learning circle, I said to them, I said, okay, well, I have a little bit of input. I don't know everything about Indigenous life, but I know quite a bit. And so I thought I'd share that with them. Now, my forte is usually around teaching. I've gone to many schools and set up teepees for the schools. And as I'm doing that, I have a little sort of routine where I explain to all the kids how the teepee worked, how it evolved, you know, what it was for, you know, all this learning that people don't really understand. So I thought that it might be a good opportunity for us to share that with the community, because I'm of the thought that it's better if we teach people about ways of the Native people. And because a lot of people don't understand. And all we're trying to do is just put some thoughts out there to people that they might understand what we're trying to do. So I'll go back to Elaine, and she's got another little thing that she wants to talk about, but thank you for listening.
Thanks, Al. So we're very excited on the 20th, then Al's going to set up the teepee in the area close to Bomber Command Center Memorial Wall. And he's going to do a teepee teaching at 2 o'clock for anybody that would like to come and listen. And then the next day, the Indigenous Day, June 21st, then the Bomber Command will be doing their presentation and honoring of the Air Force members. Then on August days, we have put a request in for the town because we'd like to do another teepee teaching and some drumming and have a craft for the kids. And so we were looking at a day when maybe could be another activity during Nanton Days. So we chose the Sunday because we thought other than the chili part, there wasn't a lot of things happening that day. And Sarah Lynn suggested doing it downtown so that then people could maybe take in the walk and listen to the teepee teaching and make the craft and do that kind of thing at that time. And then the other one we have planned is for Truth and Reconciliation Day. Now, last year, that's when we did the blanket exercise, and Lynn wanted to do something different. So we found a storyteller. Now, this weekend, Okotoks had their teepees set up, and I walked by, and there was a man in there, and he was drumming and telling stories in there, and it was unbelievable. And I mean, I wasn't invited in, I didn't get to do it, but just the energy and I thought, that's what we can do, right? And so we have a storyteller coming from Calgary. Al's going to put up his teepee again, And if it's nice weather, we'll be able to do some things inside. She can do singing and drumming and the stories. And so we'll might have some inside and some outside. So those are the four. Once the following year, we really hope to learn more about the medicine wheel. So that's sort of our goal. This year, we decided we would focus on 4 different activities and sort of focus on the teepee because we have Al. And so we'd focus on that. Now, the last part on the little form that I had to fill out for us to come here today, there was something that said expectations from council. And at first I thought, I just want them to listen. I'm just grateful that we can be here. And then I thought about it a little bit more and I thought, yeah, it's sort of endorsement that you say, okay, you guys, you can keep doing that and don't make us go somewhere else kind of thing. And then I thought, well, we all learn about land acknowledgements and they learn people learned about them different ways at different times. And I thought, well, maybe that's something that would be willing to work on. And the other one was the website. And I have looked at some towns' websites and they have links of different Indigenous things, stories, and not all of them just from their area, but from other areas. So then the town could say, well, we're interested in Indigenous culture and here's a story about this. So I thought, well, that might be a direction we want to go. Yeah, I don't know. We're just here to say thank you very much for listening to us and letting us tell you about what we've been doing. So does anybody have a question?
Excellent. Yeah, thank you again. And when I met with you guys a couple of weeks ago, I thought it was really important for not just council, but for anyone who's watching online to learn about what you guys are building and the messages that you're trying to get out, and of course, the events that you have planned this year. So that's why I thought this is a really good platform for you. And, absolutely, it's council's responsibility as well to help spread the word of the work that you're doing in these events that are coming to our town. And I appreciate the additional insights as well. I took some notes on other possibilities that we could take on. So I appreciate that, Jolene.
All right, well, thanks.
Any other questions, thoughts, considerations? Councillor Saab.
Thank you. Just thank you for coming and presenting this. It's quite interesting.
Oh, well, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
We're quite excited, and it's very interesting when you start doing this work. You think that you're just sort of 2 people, kind of, or 3 people, or whatever, and then then the Bomber Command reaches out and they're interested, and then just this weekend, the Coots Center had one, and it Gloria at the library and Lynn, there's all kinds of interest in you, but you think, okay, you don't know until you start, right? And then once you start, then there's other interest.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Not at this point in time, but again, thank you for everything that you're bringing to our town, and I look forward to attending these events that you guys have planned.
All right, well, we're hoping we're going to get some people out.
Yes, and thank you very much for listening, and hopefully see you over there. And it's all about a learning for everybody in the community, and that's what we're trying to get out there. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Enjoy your evening. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for joining us. Okay, we'll go right into the Chief Administrative Officer's report, the status report, Neil. Is there anything you wanted to highlight?
Not particularly at this point in time, just we're moving slowly forward on the THRC conceptual plan, and the survey for the area structure plan just ended. No, I think that's about it.
Any questions from council? Not seeing any. We'll go to the capital plan status. Anything you wanted to highlight there, Neil?
You may have noticed in recent weeks the wastewater main relining work going on around town. We're making some good progress on a number of items. The stormwater management pond assessment being one for next year. And no, I think that's all from the last meeting.
Any questions from council? Councillor Zopp?
Thank you. Neil, on the relining of the water line, do they acknowledge or that they found any problems in doing that?
The wastewater
No,
collection.
in the water,
relining.
the line relining.
Those are sewer line
The company
relines.
that is doing the relining of the pipe.
Do you mean the service replacement on 29th Avenue?
I think he's talking about that white lining that's going inside the pipes. Is that what you're referring
Yes.
to?
Yes, that's the wastewater lines. Yes, we do find out if they come across anything unexpected, but those sections of wastewater collection line have already been selected based on their condition. So the problems are already known, and that's why Bill selects them. The ones done, I think it was on 24th, I think, that was a result of some observations during the winter, that they were in quite poor condition there.
Thank you.
There's a lot more cameraing to come though.
All right. Any additional questions? Not seeing any. We'll go to the approval of the minutes. So we've got the meeting minutes from May 20th. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Councillor Mitchell, all in favor? Motion carries. May 26, 2025, Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Are there any errors, corrections that need to be rectified? Not seeing any. Could I have a motion to accept them as presented? Councillor Zopp, all in favor? Motion carries. Okay, we'll get right into the discussion under 5.1, request for decision on Netton Industrial Roads. Councillor Dosman?
Yeah, your worship, due to the nature and location of this updates and upgrades, I'd have to recuse myself, please.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Councillor Dosman, and I'll hand the floor over to Neil.
Okay, so administration's recommendation to start off is that that we be directed to bring forward draft bylaws and a draft local improvement plan for the proposed Nanton Industrial Lands Roads improvements to 18th Avenue and 19th Avenue. Council has directed that we bring forward this on that question. It's reflective of the 2022 strategic priority to review land inventory and investigate the servicing of industrial land. And as we know, Nanton only has so much industrial land in one part of town. So you may have seen this graphic. That's the proposed area, and it's broken into a north area and a south area. And that's key in terms of whether a project like this can be done as a whole or should be done and broken up or phased. Piecemealing the project into smaller or more affordable phases over 2 to 4 years, for example, is actively being considered in order to reduce the one-time financial impact of such a project, particularly on borrowing. But options are limited due to the north-south recommended stormwater infrastructure approach that serves both streets, if you note here and here on the report. Financing and implementing the project has a number of moving pieces. Plans and specifications were prepared last fall with an engineer. The total cost of the project was estimated to be up to 2.833 million. It's quite a considerable number. And the following contributions in that context would be applied to the project pursuant to the local improvement policy. So the municipality at large would cover 75% and the benefiting owners 25%. The local improvement tax would be collected for 25 years, spread amongst the benefiting owners by either uniform rates, frontage, or another unit of area. While the complexity of anything other than uniform rates is something that's generally avoided, administration believes that frontage or unit area may be something that some benefiting owners will see as a much more equitable solution in this case, just because the parcels vary significantly in terms of size. Benefiting owners would have the option of making either a lump sum payment or making an annual payment. As per the Municipal Government Act and the policy, council may opt to vary the 75-25 split. You can select a different percentage split. However, the town in any case would take out a debenture for the 2.8 million or a smaller amount that could be reduced by municipal reserve contribution. And the improvement tax would be levied to recover a portion of the cost of borrowing from the benefiting properties. The suggested breakdown as per policy is put forward for consideration. So you would have $708,000 from municipal reserves, $708,000 from benefiting owners, and 1.4 million from debenture and general taxation. In the event that more than 2/3 of the benefiting properties objected in writing, for example, because the improvement does not deliver a final paved surface but an industrial standard gravel road, and that's something that gives us some pause when we think about expectations around this. Council would need to determine whether or not it wished to proceed with the project without an improvement tax. If council opts to proceed, administration will also contact the engineer to refine the concept and costings so that accurate bylaws can be drafted and any possible phasing options can be considered. In terms of our current reserves, at the end of 2024, the engineered infrastructure roads reserve sat at 1.2 million. In 2025, the annual contribution going to this reserve is $135,000, and a total of $231,900 is budgeted to be used from this reserve, meaning before interest earned, the reserve will have a balance of $1,186,351. There is also the Municipal Land Development Reserve, which currently sits with a balance of just over $2 million. After the annual contribution and use of the reserve in 2025, the balance will be just under $2 million. Given the sizable proposals submitted to the Federal Government Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund in March for Westview Deep Servicing and the Northwest Sanitary Collector, administration does advise a bit of caution in terms of how much reserve funding is committed toward any single project. Borrowing. If the town were to borrow the noted number, the annual payment would be $94,486 over 25 years. Over that period, a total of $945,434 in interest would be paid at today's rates. A shorter loan period would mean less interest, but a higher annual payment. Adding this to the annual budget, assuming a small inflationary increase to the rest of the budget, and assuming assessments don't change much, the effect on a single family dwelling would be an increase of $110 to their annual municipal tax bill. The town's borrowing limit currently sits at just over $9 million. And the annual debt servicing limit currently sits at almost 1.7 million. Possible future projects that council has been hoping for depend heavily upon this borrowing capacity being available come the time. Again, council is urged to prioritise major borrowing with this in mind. In conclusion, this is a project that successive administrations and councils have known needed to be executed eventually for a few decades in order to bring the industrial roads to standard and make the limited remaining amount of undeveloped industrial land viable for purchase or investment. It has been deferred over that time precisely because it is high cost with unknown future returns for the municipality in terms of property sales and non-residential assessment. It opens up an estimated 5 to 10 acres of remaining land, not a large swath of property. But a case can also be made that existing property owners have been waiting quite some time to see such work done retroactively. Bringing the roads to industrial standard may also incentivize the resale and consolidation of some smaller existing private properties in the vicinity. For the town to extract value from this investment, if it proceeds, the land sales policy will likely need to be adjusted to ensure that the resultant serviced municipal bare land is available only to ambitious proposals that offer significant local employment, significant non-residential assessment, or ideally both. So with that, open it to questions.
All right, thank you for this report, Neil. I know we've done a lot of work to get to this discussion, and I'll open it up to the floor to see where council's at currently. Would anyone like to start us off? Cool. No, it's a massive decision, and we know there's big implications, both positive and difficult decisions for the tax base as well. So we have to have this very important discussion. Go ahead, Councillor Mitchell, start us off.
Yeah, so, and I've said this many times, because it never gets cheaper if we wait. And I'm not sure what it would have been to get this done my first term, but I'm pretty sure it'd be less. But it's all relative, right? So it's, the times are different, and it's not gonna get cheaper if we wait. So if we, if council deems that this is a necessity and we gotta get it done, I appreciate everything in here and the options we have. But I don't know if we have a choice, especially if Mountaintop is looking at a rather large expansion. It's going to be needed. And honestly, I would like to see the numbers come back to see what it would if it was paved. I know it's a major, but I just didn't know what we're sitting with. I just want to know what, if you brought that right to done, what would we be looking at? Because you make a great point, Neil, when to get buy-in from all the people that are, this is going to affect, especially when we do an improvement and it's not paved, they just looking at, what's this, another gravel road, whether it's industrial standards or whatever, it's just a gravel road. So I'm not sure if there's a noticeable difference between an industrial gravel road and what we currently have, other than gravel probably. So I wouldn't mind just to get a full picture, and then we can kind of assess, because that's one thing that kind of stood out to me is it's not paved, and that goes for everybody, like even the residents, like there's little houses down there. So that's a pretty good chunk to a tax, especially if it's not paved. So I know it's quite a bit more, but that's where I'm kind of sitting. And again, it's not easy, and it may not, this council, is coming to the end of its term. So it's not a thing you just want to slide into the next group, but it has to happen. So in my estimation.
And I think that's just it, right? There's lots of things that we need to consider. Any of these businesses that could enable any of our existing businesses to expand their operations by doing this. When we look at Fort McLeod and Claresholm, they don't have paved industrial roads. They have the graveled. I was in Fort McLeod the other day, and it was a graveled industrial road. And they have quite an impressive industrial area. Yeah. But yeah, and really it's as Neil said, it's decades in the making, and for very obvious reasons has been deferred. So does anyone else have anything they want to talk about around this? Councillor Sorensen?
Yeah, if we're gonna sell industrial lots, we need a road that can handle the industrial traffic. So I would say, yeah, I'd like to see a little more information, but this has got to go ahead. So that's all.
Yeah, and the reality is that's just it. You know, we continuously hear we've got that remaining acres that just simply are not able to be developed for the servicing needs and the road requirements. So this is the only way we can open up those lands as well. So the resolution that's drafted here, it says move to direct the chief administrative officer to bring forward a draft bylaw and draft local improvement plans for the proposed net and industrial land roads improvements to 18th Ave and 19th Ave. So this could get the ball rolling. There's still lots of discussions that will be happening, and of course, public participation and all of that along the way. So I do think we need to see what this could look like and have the broader discussion with hopefully a few more members of council and of course the public. Neil, was there something you wanted to say?
I just wanted to point out, I circulated an email on Friday. It was too late for this report, but we did hear from our engineer that this is a project that can be broken into 3 pieces or so over a period of years if the sticker shock of the overall large project is ultimately too high.
Yeah, and I would definitely want to see what that could look like and the breakdown and the implications as well, because if we're aiming to open up those other lots, what does that mean? Or, you know, is that more in the residential area? Can we kind of not do those roads in that area? Yeah, let's get a better picture. Councillor Saab.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Neil. If it was done in 2 parts, is all the money borrowed at the start for all of it?
That would be the part that would be up for discussion. It could be done as one, but it's simply implemented over a longer period of time, year on year. It could also be done as distinct, separately funded units, depending on the scale of cost. Council's appetite in a different context, if the projects are smaller, might be different around the question of borrowing altogether. Until we have that for you for subsequent discussion, I couldn't really comment much more than that.
So if it was done north and south, I guess, portion of it, if you did the north end, how much time before you do the south end? Couple of years, 3, 4, 5, next year?
Well, that's always the danger of a phased project in an annual budget. We could only probably guarantee the first phase, then moving on to the next one and the one after that. It would be discussed annually, probably.
And I guess we need more information to see what that rollout could look like and see what our options are before we make any big commitments or decisions.
Can I ask about Mountaintop at this point?
So we've got an open or a closed session discussion as well later in the agenda.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Good.
So maybe what we'll do is we can make this resolution now and then we can have some further discussion in closed, or we can wait to have the resolution after we're done our closed session. What's everyone's preference? All right, we'll defer the decision to closed. Okay, we'll move on to 5.2 information brief for utilities.
So the existing utility bylaw has served the foundational framework for water, wastewater and stormwater service management in the town for, well, we're getting close to 10 years now. Over time, operational requirements, technological change, regulatory expectations, particularly those associated with the new membrane plant, have made it necessary to consolidate various amendments and substantially enhance and modernize the bylaw. To ensure clarity, compliance, and long-term system integrity, administration recommends the repeal of bylaw 1283 and the adoption of a wholly new bylaw numbered 141125. This revision integrates all prior amendments and introduces vital updates for environmental stewardship, infrastructure longevity, and user accountability. So I've provided a bit of a summary there. The main focus is on tightening up wastewater regulations, certainly with our industrial lands in mind in particular, but also older homes as well. These are fairly standard changes. They're based on other best practices from other communities with plants, and we certainly recommend their implementation. And if council has any questions on those, I will do my best to answer them, or we can bring the manager of operations to come along and discuss any that are of particular concern when we bring the bylaw forward. There's been a good bit of review done by both operations and legislative services in this work, and I certainly thank them for the work they've done on this. It is with future projects in the private sector in mind, fairly necessary, and also with respect to the longevity of the next set of wastewater treatment plant membranes that will be brought in this year. Making sure that there isn't too much fat, soil, and grease in the system will add to the useful life of the membranes. So that's really it. We're learning a lot about the membrane plant as we go along, and it started in 2017, of course, but we do need to address some of the gaps that we're seeing in the system now to protect it for the next round of membranes.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. Okay, we'll open it up to council. Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, I really like this, because not that we didn't have any checks and balances, but more checks and balances we have and that kind of stuff, and we should be able to audit when we want to audit. Not, hey, we're doing an audit Monday, get all your stuff ready. Actually, we can have a schedule, and then we can determine it'll help us determine where the source is. So yeah, I'm all on board with this. This is exactly what we need. And just some enhancement. So thank you.
Councillor Saab.
Thank you, Mayor. In 3.2.4, the letter I, install or require property owner install a sampling manhole. So I don't understand that. You're gonna, in an existing house, they're going to have to, what is this sampling manhole?
The intention of that, again, I hope I'm correct here, in the absence of operations, is that that's really for certain types of industrial property, where regular sampling of the wastewater before it enters the collection system is strongly encouraged, so that we can assess what's in their wastewater. Because once it's in the collection system, you can get into a debate with any number of property owners whether they're the cause of an issue. But if you can sample the wastewater on the property through a manhole there, you have the ability to see what their wastewater specifically is like. But the goal, this wouldn't be for a residential property.
That, and I didn't see where it was about commercial.
No, it's just, it's a power for the town to require it. It's not that it's going to be mandated every single time. It's based on what kind of developments are occurring in the community to give the town the ability to make that requirement.
Good. Any other questions, Counselor Sorensen?
Yeah, I think sapling manhole is a real good idea. Trying to get a sample from the main line and determine where it's coming from is almost impossible, so I think that's probably the best way to go.
I appreciate that, Counselor Sorensen. Counselor Dosman, did you have any thoughts?
No, I appreciate the effort that's gone into this one and everything looks good. So thank you.
All right, well, I think we're all in agreement that everything's looking good, and I guess we'll wait for the full version to come back.
Yeah, we'll bring it forward in the near future.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. Counselor's up.
Thank you. It's possible Councillor Dozman might have the answer to this, but I'll ask Neil. When did the sewer backup valves become part of code in houses? What year?
I can only be as specific as the 1990s.
Okay.
Counselor Dosman?
Yeah, there's been different types of upgrades to the code. The most recent was, I believe, was 2006 or 2009 edition. So
And what happened then?
they made it mandatory to have backup backwater valves installed in your plumbing in the basement. So all houses now have to have a sewer backup valve installed and then inspected by a plumbing inspector before it will pass.
Sarah Lynn's looked it up for backup valves. It was 1988.
All right. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sarah Lynn. All right. Well, we'll look forward to the full version of the bylaw in the near future. Item 6.2.1 Municipal Affairs 2025 Local Government Fiscal Framework. That was a letter from the previous minister, Rick McIver. Okay, it was moved at 7:48 to hold closed confidential sessions pursuant to Section 1972 of the Municipal Government Act, RSA 2000, Chapter M26, and the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act as followed: industrial roads, VoIP Section 25, economic interest of the municipality, and Section 24, advice from officials. Who would like to make the motion? Counselor Sorensen, all in favor? Motion carried. And I suppose Counselor Dosman will bid you adieu.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Feel better.